What's going on, Canfield Nation? Welcome back. Coca's Pizza Playoff Edition, second round. And pleased to be joined by head coach Mike Pavlansky. Coach, a nice win last Friday night against New Philadelphia, a team that you were very familiar with, played them 3 consecutive years. And, fortunately for your team, you have won all 3.
Yeah, absolutely, Richard. Great to be in round 2 of the playoffs. Any win's a good win. A playoff win's a very special.
And they played hard. It was a good game in that first half, and they fought you to the very end. They did a lot of different things that they probably didn't do during the regular season. They went for it a multitude of times, an onside kick, drilled a 48-yard field goal.
Yep.
So you kind of knew, as you're the 2 seed, they're the 15 seed, they were going to have a couple of things underneath their sleeve.
They're a really good football team. 6-4. Mike Johnson did a great job this year, beating Dover. We knew what we were getting into. A very physical team, a very fast team, well coached, and that first half defensively we weren't at our best, but went at halftime with a 14-10 lead, and second half defensively took over the game.
How big was that last drive there to end the first half? You come down the field in 3 minutes. Great drill there. Brock Lowry was connecting with everybody, running the football well. And then there was a little chaos there at the end.
Yeah.
The officials didn't really know if there was a timeout called or not. The play clock and the game clock stopped, and then Lowry kind of takes over with his senior instinct, and you know what? He just plows forward for a touchdown, and that was huge going into the half, having the lead at home.
Always is. And that last drive at a half, you get points on the board. That's just a big momentum builder. And that last play, we knew we had the first down. Okay, and the decision was, with one timeout left, do you want to spike the football or do you want to run a play? And Brock saw something and just got himself into the end zone, willed himself into the end zone, and we were going up 14-10 at halftime.
You talked about the defense not playing particularly well in the first half, but they turned some things around in that second half. They pitched a shutout against the New Philly offense that was very experienced. Outside their quarterback, who's a sophomore, all their key players on the outside and the running back were seniors. So they've seen your defense a couple times.
Right.
What was the adjustment in the locker room at halftime?
Well, we talked to our kids like we always do at halftime, Richie, and asked them, hey, what's going on in the field? What do you see? What can help you? And we kind of narrowed our calls down, number one, and just allowed our guys to line up and play. And we played much faster, much more physical in the second half. Credit our kids. And, we're able to pitch the shutout, which, again, allows us to move on.
And a couple of the plays that they ran in the first half did not gain positive yardages in the second half. They were heavy on the screen plays in that first half, heavy on the quarterback draw, where the quarterback had a couple big carries up the middle, including one on third down. But the defense was able to shut that down in the second half. So you got to give credit to your defensive coordinator, along with the players who made some key adjustments, getting off of blocks, especially on screens, and making some great open field tackles.
Yeah, I think the first half, the speed of a couple of their kids, number 1, number 3, kind of surprised us probably. And our guys adjusted to that. And in the second half, you saw the outcome.
Now, when you play a game like that, physical from start to finish, New Philadelphia gave you everything that you could have fought for. Is that eye-opening? And does that teach your team a lesson a little bit? Because a 2 against the 15 seed, you expect the 2 to win big. But in this case, we knew New Philadelphia was going to be a great opponent. But it's kind of a nice lesson to your team. Like, hey, we're the 2 seed in this region, but every single game is going to be hard fought.
Yeah. You look around the state, 2 to 15. I think 2 won every one except for 1, and most of them were blowouts. In our region, like we said last week, the top 16 teams, you can make an argument that all 16 belong in the playoffs. And, New Philadelphia, even though they were 15, it's a heck of a program. It's a great football team. They played extremely well and physical. And, we woke up Saturday morning a sore football team, but a happy one.
Yeah, when you look at the film going back, the offense scored 27 points, and, on the scoreboard, it might not be a lot, but they were efficient because they only had the ball 3 times in the first half, scored 2 out of the 3, had the ball 4 times in the second half. So, offensively, there was some production, even though you didn't have too many drives.
Correct. We were pleased with how efficient we were offensively throughout the game. Defensively, much more efficient the second half. And when we grade our units, and you can get into the high 50s, low 60s grade-wise for us. You're probably going to come out on the right end of the score.
And when you look at this defense, you talked about it didn't play great in the first half, but they might have bent, but they never broke. And I think that was the key. This team was on the field a lot. I think they had 2 drives in the first half that almost took half of a quarter, 6 minutes long. So they were tired. They played a long night, but at the end of the day, they were able to kind of bear down and hold the New Philadelphia offense to a minimum once they got inside your territory.
Absolutely. Just so proud of our defense and all of our guys that they condition well during the week. They spend a lot of time in the wintertime and even during the season lifting weights to stay in shape. And, obviously that was shown in the fourth quarter.
We move forward. Aurora, a very good football team coming in. You've seen them a couple times, knock them out of the playoffs twice during your tenure as the head coach for the Canfield Cardinals. This is a team that is another senior-led football team. But what stands out about the Green Men is their left side of their offensive line. They got 2 guys, Joey Arnold, who's highly recruited, got a couple offers to go play D2 and then D1. And then their guard, Rocco Cortat, is another big guy. So they combined for 530 pounds on the left side of that offensive line. That's going to present a challenge.
Absolutely will. Obviously, the deeper you go into the playoffs, the better teams you're going to see. And this is one of the best Division III programs in the state. Bobby Mahalick's been there since the early 2000s, done a great job. They've been in the playoffs 17 of the last 18 years. They won a state title in 2008, and this year's no different. They're averaging about 37 points a game with a high explosive offense, like you said, on that left side with those 2 guys. Those 2 guys also play defense, and they're a force. We got our hands full.
And their running back's a little bit of a different style than what you've seen a little bit this year. They've got almost like a fullback that gets the most amount of carries, a big guy who also has a couple of Division II offers to play at the next level. So when you present that challenge to your defense, what are some things that you have discussed as a team throughout this week of practice?
We can't allow their tailback, who's 6'2", 230 pounds, to get his nose going north and south. Because if it does, he's either going to run biased or he's going to run over us. And so we've got to be able, we talk a lot about building a wall across that defensive front, not letting any gaps come open, and force him to get his shoulders going towards the sideline.
When we talked week number 1, we talked about the defense and how it was a little bit inexperienced at the linebacker position. Even some of the cornerbacks didn't start the last couple seasons. How much have you seen this defense mature from week 1 now to week 12?
Tremendously, Richie. Absolutely matured and grown within our system. And credit our seniors for bringing them along, during the course of the year. And certainly mistakes are made, but our seniors have really handled the young kids very well and encouraging them to get better every week.
We always ask you this. Aurora, really good football team. You mentioned their history, 17 out of the last 18 years in the playoffs, 2008 state champions. What are your keys to the game to kind of hold the Green Men?
Well, we got to stop the run. We got to control the run, the line of scrimmage, control the run game. And the best way to do that is keep our offense on the field. We give them too many possessions. They're going to find a seam. They're going to find a pass that they like. And, they're just too well coached to allow them to have too many possessions. That's one. Number 2, we got to really improve this week on special teams. Last week, probably special teams was probably the most disappointing, game that we've had this year with a fake punt, an onside kick. And I think we got outgained and hitting yardage by about 64 yards, and that's never good. And then finally, we got to win the turnover battle. In playoff games, the team that wins the turnover battle generally wins the game. We were fortunate last week. We lost the turnover battle, but still ended up winning the game.
Coach, we appreciate your time as always. Always thankful for you coming out to Coca's Pizza. Another week coming up, That's week 2 of the playoffs. We'll talk to your senior quarterback, Brock Lowry, coming up here in a sec, Coach. Good luck on Friday night.
Appreciate it, Richie. Thank you.
All right, we'll have Brock Lowry coming up next. Another player profile in Coach's Corner, brought to you by Coca's here in Canfield.